Okay, yeah, thank you. Alright. Good morning, guys. So, my name is Abdulhamid Kodri, or they could call me soft coder. So, I'm one of the facilitators for this program. So, and I'll be guiding us through introduction to Flutter today. So, while waiting for other people to join, I think I'll just like to meet us one on one. Maybe we can kind of do some kind of introductions. Tell me your name and what you do basically. Then your experience with programming. Maybe you're a newbie or you've been doing some kind of programming before. Hello.
Okay.
Hello,
Yeah, we can hear you,
I'm
Taiwo.
Taiwo. Yes, sir. Good afternoon. My name is Akinami Taiwo. I'm a PHP
Okay.
developer. I'm trying to learn more about Flutter as well, even basically on mobile development. Thank you.
Okay. Please tell us your experience with programming language. Have you been coding before or you
And
just
I've been coding before. Like I said, I code with PHP and some Java as well. I code in Java using it to build desktop app. I've been 2 years. I've started this so far. Thanks.
wow, that's very great. Akin, can you hear me? So how about Fawaz, Adebayo, and others? Like, please tell us your name and what you do. Hello, Fawaz. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, please tell us what you do. Like,
Okay, my name is Adebayo Fawaz. I'm a web developer. I do JavaScript and TypeScript, React, Node.js, and maybe Deno.
wow, great. That's lovely. Abdusalam, Ayla, are you there, Abdusalam?
Yeah, I mean, can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear. Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, good afternoon. My name is Ainlab Salam. I'm a UI UX designer, and I'm curious about
Great. That's lovely. Having a UI experience is very lovely. So I'm happy to hear that. Mafis, like, are you there? Hello, Afis, are you there? So basically, I think,
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
okay, all right, yes, go on.
Still learning, Sha. Started with Flutter about 2 months ago. So I just want to learn more about it.
Oh, that's interesting. So
Mm-hmm.
basically, like, we don't really have much newbies in the house. Like, we all have experience, programming experience. So that's really help us in moving fast. So, like, have you all installed Flutter environment on our systems? If you have installed Flutter environment on your system, please notify.
Yes, I have Flutter on my system.
How about Fawaz and
I also have Flutter. Fawaz.
oh great. Then Ayla, do you have
no, I
Flutter?
don't get it.
Okay, we'll do that today. How about
Okay.
Makiyemi?
No, I did not have Flutter on my system.
All right, we'll do that
Although
today.
I told you, this is my first day of attending this program, sir. So I don't.
Oh, okay, all right, no problem. So while waiting for others, like basically our discussion today will be based on overview of Flutter development. We're going to shed more light to what Flutter is all about and also how we can get the best out of this program. We're going to talk more about that. Then we are going to move to setting up our Flutter environment and creating our new project. So maybe we should just wait a bit for others.
Thank you very much, Ahmed. So while we wait for others, I would like to say that this event is a maiden event. So it's the first event out of for the Flutter Study Group that we just started. So we started the study group on Monday, that last this week Monday, and we hope that this study group will help us improve the interaction among community members. So basically, on our WhatsApp groups, there's nothing communication or interaction among community members is not really at it's not really very good for now. So the study group is a way for us to segregate people into different groups. That way, when you meet someone else that is doing something that is similar to what you're doing, you are able to interact with that person, ask questions from that person, and share ideas with that person. So this is a way for us to start thinking about how to share ideas and solve solutions, solve problems in our community. So we closed registration for the study group last week, but we have been seeing some positive vibes from community members that they were not able to register. So we decided to reopen registration for those that are willing to join the study group again. So basically, this event is a maiden event, so everyone is welcome to attend this event. But as we go on with the study group, we would only be able to do meetings amongst ourselves. That is among Flutter study group members. So I say a big welcome to everyone again once again. So like I said, I will share a link to if you're interested in joining the study group. Basically, the study group registration is open for 3 more days, so you can basically uh, click on the link and register. So I will share the link in the chat box right now, and I will be sharing it consequently, so anyone else that joins the call will be able to see it. So thank you very much, everyone.
Hello.
Hi, Aminat.
I mean, good afternoon, everyone.
Hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, so my name is Amina. So we are basically three mentors for this Flutter study group, and just for today, myself and Amid. So I will be taking you through what Flutter is all about, and Amid will be taking you through the installation of Flutter and others. Are we okay?
All right.
So basically, everybody know what apps are. Like we know what apps are, what apps do, and everything. So we know we have two operating systems. We have the Android operating system and we have the iOS. That's the Apple. Hello, am I communicating?
Yes.
Okay. So we have different programming languages that can be used to develop an Android app and different programming languages that can be used to develop an iOS app. So Flutter is a framework that can be used to develop a app that works both on Android and iOS. So basically, Flutter is a framework. So an advantage of Flutter is that when you use Flutter, your app can be used on both Android and iOS. Please, can I continue?
Yes, you can.
Okay. So one of the reasons Flutter is popular and everybody wants to know it is because it saves you the stress of having to code in a language that would have to develop a Android app that doesn't work on an iOS app. For example, in Android development, we make use of Java, we make use of Android Java, we make use of C++. Then to develop an iOS app, we have to use Swift and some other programming languages. But basically, when you use Flutter, you have just one code base to access both the Android and the iOS, and it works fine on both. And it is very, very easy to learn and study. So the Flutter framework uses the Dart programming language. So when you guys start developing apps, you get to know how to build apps with Flutter. But there are more things about Flutter. I can always share that later, maybe in the WhatsApp group chat. But for now, let Amit take us on the Flutter installation and everything. So you guys are welcome to this Flutter study group.
Thank you, Aminat. Thank you. Please,
Welcome.
do you have any question on what Aminat has said? Like maybe there are some things that is not really clear to you. Hello.
Hello, we are with you.
All right. So I'll do a quick recap of what Aminat has said. I have a presentation slide here that I'm going to share. So I believe
Okay.
what he's saying is believing, like seeing it. I'll just do a kind of recap, a fast recap on what he has said, and I'm going to take us through the Flutter installation. And we're going to build our first app. Let me share my screen with you. Sorry, I'm coming. Can we all see my screen?
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
All right.
Yes, I
Yeah.
can.
All right. Like what Aminat has said, what we'll be discussing today will be an overview of Flutter development, then getting the best out of this program, then setting up our environment, then we're going to build our very first app. So like what Aminat has said, okay, what is Flutter? He said, I'll try to like answer that question using an example of a guy called John Doe. John Doe is an Android app developer. And what he does basically is he developed Android, he developed a mobile app develop he developed a mobile app that runs only on Android. So now he has a app that sells on Play stores, and people were like, "Can we have this app on iOS? Can we have this app on iOS?" So what he does is that he went to study iOS development. He bought a lot of book, study hard, and developed the same app on iOS and pushed to app stores. So people have he has both Android version and iOS version. So now the problem with John is that he will have to maintain two code base anytime he has to update his app, and he will have to like he studied a new language and he has to maintain two code base anytime he has to make an update. Then also he has to build a support for different kind of platform and app sizes. So now the solution to John Doe problem is Flutter. And what is exactly Flutter? Flutter is a UI kit that make it easy for mobile app developers to design a beautiful UI user experience app that rendered assembly on all platforms, irrespective of the screen size. So what do I mean by this? Let's assume we have a screen layout. Flutter UI kit comes with a pre-built widget that make it easy for developers to lay out its app UI assembly. And Flutter is an amazing UI toolkit that makes drawing of UI components on blank screen so easy. Let's assume these are blank screens and we have to render this app bar, we have to render this box and this box and this box. So Flutter already have a pre-built widget that can make our designs and laying out of this widget so easy. So that is what Flutter is all about. Now, why do we have to use Flutters? Why we have to use? Yep. Hello.
Hello.
You said
Please, can you come again on Flutter? Like,
okay
can you
on
explain that
Flutters.
again?
All right. Like I said, Flutter is a UI toolkit that make it easy for mobile app developers to design a beautiful user experience app that rendered assembly on all platforms. Like that the problem we have with John is that he's an Android app developer, and all he does is develop a app that runs on Android devices. So now most of these app that John built, people are requiring for the iOS version of it. So when you have to build an iOS version of the app, you have to learn new language like Swift UI and the likes in order to build a iOS version of the app. Then the problem now arises anytime he has to make an update on the previous app he built, you will have to maintain a two code base. Like you will make an update to the Android version. You also make an update to the iOS version. That is, it is maintaining two code base, the Android code and the iOS code. Do you understand what I mean by code base? So it has to
Yeah.
like make an update on the Android
Yeah, yeah.
code and it will also make an update on the iOS code. So now to now solve the problems, that is why Flutter comes in. So Flutter is like a kind of toolbox, a box that acts a pre-built widget that you can use in building both Android application and iOS applications with just
Like
one code
Bootstrap.
base. Yes, we just want code base. So Flutter is a UI toolkit that make it easier for mobile app developers to design a beautiful user experience app that render assembly on all platforms. Maybe on your Android, your iOS, your web app, and your desktop applications. So now, what exactly is Flutter? Like, let's continue. Like we said, Flutter comes with a lot of pre-built widgets that make it easier for developers to lay out app UI. What I mean by this is that if you have experience with Android development, you know that what you do is that you write your code, your UI code in XML, then you write the state management and the like in Java. So writing an XML is very like kind of complex, whereby there is no pre-built widget you can use. You have to, if you have to write this to render something like a box, you have to write a code that will give you this look, this box. If you want to do something like this, you have to write another XML code that will give you something like this. But in order to save us the stress of writing code, Flutter comes with a widget that instead of writing a code for it, you can just call the widget. Like this is called, we have different widgets. We come to that later. So instead of you writing code for each um, UI component, there's already a widget that will render the UI component for you easily without that will save you the stress of writing a lot of code. I hope like I can like you do you get my point, Abdulaziz? So let me continue. Now with Flutter, we have to maintain one code base. We have to maintain one code base that runs on both iOS or Android or web app or desktop app. So with just one code base, you can deploy to both Android, to both iOS, to both desktop and web application. You don't have to write different code for all of them. So with single code base, you have all these applications running. So now with Flutter, we only have to learn just one programming language, and which is that. Unlike learning Java for Android, learning Swift for iOS, then maybe Python for other language like C Sharp for desktop application or Python for HTML and CSS for web applications. But with Flutter, you can do your web applications. With Flutter, you can do your mobile application, both Android and iOS. Then with Flutter, you can do your desktop application with just a single language, which is that programming language. So now also Flutter allows users to use a very simple and flexible layout system. So what I mean by flexible layout system is that if you look at this layout, like before we have in Java, if you have experience with Java, if you want to render a lot of with container like this on your app screen, what you do is that you use a constraint box. A constraint box will allow your app to be relatively responsive to any kind of this any kind of app size. So now with Flutters, you don't need to write, you don't need to use a complex constraint box laying out your system. We have a Flutter, we have a widget that can do that for you. So we are going to come to that later when we are building our first app. So we also have what is called an auth reload. An auth reload comes in place when we have to, like, after building our app and we want to look at it, how it how how it's going to load on a physical device. What we do is that we run our app on physical device. So every time we make a changes, we have to rebuild, run the applications. The application will compile the code before it can render the UI to us. But with Flutter, there's what they call auth reload. As you are building your app, you are seeing the changes immediately on your physical device. So Flutter gives us the opportunity of auth reload. Also, you have access to your source code.
That's like live server.
Yeah, that's like a live server. So also you have access to
Media.
your source code. You have access to your source code because it is an open source. So when we are making our first app, I'll show you how you can check the source code for everything. So now, anatomy of Flutter. Like what React Native guys said, they said our Flutter is everything with Flutter is widget. So in Flutter, we believe that everything is a widget, just like a Lego block. When you are building a Lego block, you arrange each block, each step by step, to get to your final object. So Flutter, what we do in Flutter is that we arrange widgets, we lay out widgets. So like, look at this diagram. We have a scaffold. We have a widget called scaffold. We have a widget called abba. We have a widget called container. We have a widget called column. So we arrange them step by step till we get to our final destination. So now in Flutter, we believe that everything is a widget, and just like building a Lego block on each other, we arrange Flutter widget on each other also. So getting the best out of this course, I will advise us to have a kind of notepad that we can use in taking notes. So note taking is very important. So you can arrange your um, notepad in this way. Like when you have some kind of topic and title, then you have a keyword and questions. Whenever you come across a new word or a keyword, you should write it down. Like what I said before: scaffold, container, column. As we are, if you are a newbie to Flutters, those words will look strange to you. All these words like the scaffold, you'll be wondering like, okay, what is scaffold? What is container? What is column? So why taking during a lesson sections, I will advise you to have a notepad whereby you write your keyword down, and later you can write your questions that you ask. Then you take a note. Then afterward, you can do a summary, kind of summary. And also, I advise you not to skip a step, because each step is very important and they are very interdependent on each other. Like if you skip one step, it will make it hard for you in the future. So now, practice makes perfect. You have to practice a lot. And there's this slogan that I used to tell people, like, struggle is good. You have to struggle to learn how to solve a solutions on your own. So I'll teach us on how to solve a problem. Whenever we have a problem, I'll take us through a steps in which we can use to solve a problem on our own. So, and if you have any problem, you can contact any of the mentors. Like, you can reach out to Aminat or reach out to Kenny, or you can reach out to me at any time also. So now, setting up a Flutter environment. I'll take us through setting up our Flutter environment. So this is a link Hello, can you all see my screen?
Yes, yes, you can see.
Yes, yes.
All right, I'm coming. I want to show something. Sorry, I'm coming. Hello. All right. Yeah, I'm back. So I'll share us a link. This link, maybe during our free time, we can go through these steps. So if you are using a Windows or you're using a Mac OS or Linux, these are the steps. Once you get to this link, just click on your operating system, select your operating system. So these are the steps by step. Because of time, I won't be doing it step by step, but it's something you can do on your own if you go through these steps. This, so all you have to do is first, these are the system requirements. The minimum operating system you can use on Windows is Windows 7 and maybe 64 bits. And make sure you have up to like 10 gig because you are still going to install some other software like Android. So make sure you have up to like 10 gig free space on your systems. Then later you are going to first download the Flutter SDK on your app. So after downloading the Flutter SDK, then you extract the file. Just follow these steps. Follow the step by steps. So when you get angry, just come to your Google and type your problem. Maybe you can type a problem, how to um, how to install Flutter SDK. Then you can either use a Stack Overflow or any kind. You can either type that to Google or end it with Stack Overflow. Once you click submit, it will take you to similar problem and solution. This is a problem, how to configure Flutter SDK or how to locate the Flutter SDK. So these are the answers people have made to the problems. So with this, I think you'll be able to solve any kind of problem on your own. So, but if you have any problem, just contact the mentors, any one of the mentors. So after installing, setting up your environments and the likes, okay. Let me open a terminal. Hello, can you see my terminal?
Yes, yes.
All right. So you can just type Flutter Doctor. Once you type Flutter Doctors, it's going to tell you everything, all the tools that is necessary to install, and those ones that have been installed. So let's run Flutter Doctor and see what's going on. So you can see what I have here. I have Flutter SDK installed. I have Android switching installed. Then I have my S code because I'm using MacBook. I also have my Android Studios. Then I have my IntelliJ. IntelliJ doesn't really necessary. So once you have your Android Studio, it's okay. Yeah, I don't have any device connected at the moment. So that is that. So let's just go to building our first Where's my, yeah, building our first app. So we have different steps in building Flutter applications. You can either use your Windows or you can open your Android Studio. So, but the easiest way is using Terminal to do that. So all you have to do is type a command, Flutter create. So once you type this command, Flutter create, then you can add the name of your project. So you can call it first app, all lowercase. So you can separate it with an underscore. So once you type the name, let's give it a name. Yes, app one. Let me just call it DSC app one, and click enter. It's going to, you have to on your hotspot and connect to the internet before you run the command. So you can see we have a app created here. So I can change my D3 to the app and open it in VS Code. So once you open your app on VS Code, what you first app is you see some kind of folders, like you see your iOS folders, you see your Android folder, you see a lib folder, and you see a test folder. The most important one is the lib folder and the poxped.yaml file. So your poxped.yaml file is a kind of a package file. If you need to install any new packages or you need to use an extra, do some kind of settings, you do that in your poxped.yaml file. Like for instance, if you want to add your images assets, you can just uncomment the asset folder and do the settings like so. So we are still coming back to that. So this is a poxped.yaml file. If you look at this space, we have our dependencies. So we have our Flutter install, the Flutter dependency SDK installed. If you need to install any extra dependency, this is what you do. You come to your browser and go to poxped.dev. Once you open pop.dev, you can search for any packages. So let's assume I want to use a Google font. Instead of adding extra fonts, I can make use of Google fonts. So once you search for the package you are looking for, it will bring out the packages. So you can see that your package have likes, numbers of likes. It adds a point and also has popularities. So the one that has highest popularity is I'll advise you to download or use the one with highest popularities, like this Google font. It has popularity of 99%. So you can just come to installation. Under installation, you see something like this. Just a matter of copying it. Once you copy this, then you go back to your poxped.yaml file. Then you can drop it anywhere, or I'll drop it under Cupertino icon. So with this, you can just click save. Once you click save, it's going to run a pop.get. If you have a strong internet, it's going to install on time. Doesn't take much time. Or better still, you can come to your terminal also and write a command like this: do flutter pop get. If you run this command, so running flutter pop get, we have no error. So our Google font has been installed successfully like that. So you can close your poxped.yaml file. But we still come to that later on. But this is just an introduction class. So now, I said one of the folder that's very important is the lib folder. The lib folder is like a kind of root to our app, a root folder to our app. So under the lib folder, you see a file called main.dat. Please and please don't delete the file. Don't delete or rename it. Just leave it as main.dat. It is an entry point to our app, like a root file. So what we are going to do now is that I'm going to delete everything that we have here, and we are going to write our code from scratch. So the first thing we are going to do is to import our Flutter. We should import a package, a material package. So material package comprises of all our material components. So if you come here, if you want to know what material package is all about, just go to Google and search for material.io. You go on material.io, you see various kind of material components. Like we have material design guide, we have components. You can click on components. You can see we have add bar, we have backdrop, we have bottom navigation. This is what bottom navigation means. We have a banner, we have a button. All these are material components. We have chips, we have card, we have floating action button. So we have data table, state picker, and so on and so forth. So you can learn more about material components or material.io. So as I said, in Flutter, all we have to do is that the Flutter team have already built together all these widgets and make life easier for us. So all we have to do is just to import it. So the first thing you have to do is to import your material package. So you start by writing your void mail. Your void mail, like if you are not new to programming language, if you are a Java guy or you are a C++ guy, you know that your void main is where is like a entry functions, like an entry method. So this is where your app will start running. Any other thing you write here will be executed in this .main. So your .main is your entry point. So we have a .main. So let me just write a function here. Or instead of that, before starting all this stuff, I would like to talk about widgets. What widget is all about. Because I said everything in Flutter is all about widgets. So what is widgets? Flutter widgets are built using a modern framework. The central idea is that you build your UI out of widgets, and widgets describe what the view should look like, given their current configuration and state. So when a widget state changes, the widget rebuilds its descriptions, which the framework difference against the previous descriptions in order to determine the minimal changes needed in the underlying render tree to transitions from one state to another. So widgets we have two types of widgets in Flutter. We have a stateful widget and we have a stateless widget. A stateless, as the name implies, is a kind of widget that doesn't have a state or that doesn't rebuild. None of the states rebuild. That's a stateless widget. But a stateful widget is a kind of widget that changes status. So if you look at, let me go back to the previous. I'll use that to explain better what widget is all about. Can you all see my emulator, please? Hello, can you see my emulator?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, all right. The Flutter project is building. It will take like 2 to 3 minutes. If you have a better RAM, sometimes it do take like 5 minutes or 8 minutes to build. So let's wait for it to. Now, can you see this app? This is our very first app. So if you click on this add button, the number will change from 1 to 2, from 2 to 3, and so on and so forth. So this number is changing state. So the kind, if you are building this text widget, it must be built inside a stateful widget. So anything, maybe test or maybe any state that is going to be changing must be built inside a stateful widget. But if you have, let's say you build an app that just render maybe an image that doesn't have to change status, so you can build that kind of app on a stateless widget. But anything that will change state, like you are changing from, as I'm clicking this, the state of the number is changing. So the state of the widget is also changing. That's a stateful widget. Like a stateful changes its state, while a stateless widget doesn't change its state. So now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to delete everything, and we are going to start from scratch. You can see that when I delete everything, the app crashes and it gives us a warning. So this is a warning sign, like a kind of error in Flutter. So the first thing to do is to import our material package. So the app has crashes. So once I import my material package, I can write my void functions. So under these void functions, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to create a home screen, like a kind of welcome screen. So if you're using a Visual Studio Code, there's a shortcut of creating it. If you want to create a stateless widget, just type STL and tab. Once you click on tab, it will complete the rest for you. So you can now name your class anything, like a home screen. Let me call it home screen. So like so, we've created an home screen. But mind you, your home screen is a stateless widget. You make it stateless. That means the state, anything, the state of this home screen will not change. So now, let me render this home screen inside my main. So the function to render that is run your app. So you call your home screen class inside it and put a semicolon to end. So what you do basically is that you create a home screen widget that return a container, and inside this, when the app starts running, you go inside your main functions. When you enter these main functions, it will execute this function run app, and the run app will execute the home screen. So if I run this app and look at what we have, let me run the app and see what we have. Okay, you can see that the next time doesn't take much time to compile. So all we have now is just a blank screen, a blank screen. So with the help of Flutter widget, we can now draw or arrange our widgets on this blank screen. So that's what we are going to do. And the aim is to rebuild the examples, the Flutter examples. Or let me just open a kind of Figma, and maybe we should just design something like this. So here we can just have sorry, we can have an image. So let me just um okay. So we have a profile image, then we can have some kind of name. Just add a name, maybe. Sorry. Let's assume that we are to build something like this, a kind of app that has this kind of look. Become yes. So let's assume that we are to build this kind of app that will show an image and show some kind of name and the row, your row. Like this is just a simple app just to start with. So this is our aim. We are to arrange a kind of app that has a image, then a container that consists of a text, another container that consists of a text. So going back to that, let me just screenshot this and save. Okay. All right. So let's assume that we want to build this kind of app. So This is what we want to achieve. Let me just screenshot it and save it somewhere. All right, let me close my. Okay. So I'll just place this somewhere. Let me come back to my code. So this is my code. Let me start by running the code again so that we can have a blank screen. So now, if you look at these screens, what we want to achieve is that we have three containers that we want to render. I mean, four containers. One of the container contain an image, and the rest contain a text message, a text, and an icon. So all of them were centrally aligned. So and what we have here is just a blank screen. So, and I told you that with simplicity of Flutters, you can build app faster and you can arrange your widgets on the screen faster than using any other platform. So let's get started and see. So let me recap. I said that you start your app inside your main folder. So what you have inside your main folder is run app functions. The run app functions will run the class, the entering class, or let me create another one and call it entry. It's less and call it or base app. Let me call it base app. So instead of calling it home screen, I can just call it base app. So this is our base app. So now what we are doing is that our run application is calling this method base app. So I can create another folder. I can create another file.
Please, I can't.
Yep. Okay. I'm trying to create another folder or file rather called UI. I've created another folder called UI. So all of our UI will be inside this folder. So now inside this UI, I can now create my home page. So let me call it home screen dot that. All your files should be ended with dot that. So this is my home screen. The home screen, we have this. We render this stuff. So let's start. I said if you want to start, the first thing is you always import your material app. So let's import, just write material, then you can look for it from here and auto complete it. So now what we are doing, if you look at this, if you study this app very well, you can see that there's nothing changing in this app. There's no button that when you click it's going to change or anything. There's nothing changing. All you just have to do is that you just have a contact app that has your card details, your name, your rows, and your numbers. So that's all we have. Or let me add some kind of stuff to it. Probably let me add an app bar that will tell us the title of the app. But I don't think the app bar is really necessary for this kind of design. Let me just add it. Let's assume I have an app bar. That has a text. My business card. Let me call it my business. My business card app. Or let me just call it my business card. Just so sorry. So let's assume that this is what we want to build. Yeah. So you can tell your people that okay, this is your business card application. Let me screenshot it again. So this is the app that we're trying to achieve. We're trying to achieve this. So we're trying to achieve this. So the first thing to do is that if you study this app very well, you can see that it has a kind of a title. If you are coming from a web development, you can call it a navbar. It has a kind of navbar, but in Flutter we call it app bar. So it has a title, a test, my business card. So we also have some kind of container in the centers. We have an image, we have a test. So that's what we're going to do. So now I'll first draw the layout tree of this app so that once we are doing the writing the functions, it will be very easy for us. It is not really necessary for us to draw a layout anytime you are building an app. If you know what you want to build, it will be easier for you. But for a starter, for the sake of these sections, I'm going to draw the widget trees of this app. So the first thing first is that we have a scaffold. Your app entry point is a scaffold. Sorry. We have a scaffold. I'm not really good in UI, but maybe we have a scaffold. Or let me just do it here in the code. I'm not really good with UI. So I'm creating a stateless. So let me call it business card. Business card. The business card screen. So I'm calling this the business card screen. So if you study this very well, you can see that it is a class and it extends a stateless widget, meaning that all of its states will not change from one state to another. Like it will have a static UI, like it's not changing. Maybe the business card will not later change to business contact or something. It will just render a static text like that. So that's why we are using a stateless widget. So now the scaffold. Scaffold is an entry point. Scaffold will give us a blank screen. So you should just return a scaffold. So now if you just place your cursor, your mouse on this scaffold, it's going to give you some kind of info about the scaffold. You can see that it has a key, it has a bar, it has a body, it has a floating action button, it has a floating action button locations, and so on and so forth. It has a drawer. So in Flutter, you don't need to cram anything. All you have to do is just to understand the layout. So the thing is, anytime you start your app or you are rendering a screen, if you want to render a blank screen, you are going to use a scaffold. So it is advisable to use a scaffold as an entry point. So this is your scaffold add a pre-built widget, which is an app bar that you can use. So the app bar is what if you look at your material.io, if you come to material.io, okay, we are here. This is app bar. This is an app bar. App bar means something that is at the top of the screen. That's what, just like a nav bar. That's what an app bar means. So we want to place something at the top. So if you want to place something at the top like this, you are going to use an app bar. So now there's a widget for it called app bar widget. This is an app bar widget. If you look at the app, let me just give it a color, a background color, and change it to colors dot red. Let's say I give it a red. Sorry. This is our app bar. So we have a base app, and the base app it will return a material app. Why the base app will always return a material app is that material app is all the components in Flutter, all the components that you want to use. It is inside the material app. So you have to return your material app. So you can give it a title. Let's call it DSC Unilorin. DSC Unilorin app. So we can now give it a home. So your home, the home of this base app will be the business card screen. So you render your business card screen as the home of the base app. So you can just call it business. Once you are typing the name, just autocomplete. It will automatically import the top for you. So now, if you alt reload, you can see that your business card screen, our app now has a app bar with a background color of red. So you can give it a title. So we know that title we always have a text, and the text we already have a text widget. So you can just write anything. My business card. Call it my business card. So as you are writing your code, you can see that it is automatically rendering the app for you. Yeah, that is the work of alt reload. So as you are building, you are saying let's center the title. There's what they call center title. You just have to make it true. So if you don't know each of these functions, what they are going to take, like how do I know that, okay, background color will take this color? How do I know that title will take a kind of text or anything? How do I know that center title will take a boolean? So you can just click on it. If you place your mouse on it, it will show you the descriptions. You can see that the color to use for the app bar material, that's what background color means. And it is expecting a color. You can see this red is what it's expecting. It's expecting a color. If you place your mouse on the title, you can see that it is expecting a widget. So it can either be a text widget or any other widget. It can be a container, it can be an image, it can be anything. So, but your title is expecting a widget. So a center title, the work of center title is expecting a boolean, whether the title should be centered or not. So if you don't want the title should be centered, you can just give it false. So by default, it is false. You can see that it has go back to. You have to give the center title top, right, left, and bottom. So you've added 12 pixels to the left, added 12 pixels to the top, added 12 pixels to this side, and 12 pixels to bottom. So let's now assume that let me copy this container and paste it so many times. Let me paste it so many times. Like you can see, I now have 3 containers. It is vertically aligned. So what column does is that it will align its children vertically. So if you want to align, maybe you want to have a kind of container that is horizontally aligned. So instead of using column, you can now use row. There's a widget called row. So what row does is it will arrange its children vertically on the screen. You can see. So with Flutter, it has a pre-built widget that we can use. We are going to talk about more the common widgets that we use basically. So, but let me change it back to column. So we have a column. So yeah, this is a column. So let me add one more container so that it will be 4 containers that we have. Let me copy and paste. So now we now have 4 containers that we want to use. But if you look at this design, the first container, the second, third, and fourth container were vertically aligned at the center. So now, to align all your children at the center, instead of this top, there's a property. If you place your mouse on the column, there's a property called main axis alignment. The main axis alignment. So you are going to change the main axis alignment to center. Once you change it to center, it will change. It will align your containers at the center. Then instead of vertically centered, we also want it to be horizontally at the center. So to achieve horizontal, we use a cross axis alignment and change it to center also. Your cross axis alignment to be centered. So after doing that, if you alt reload, oh, I know why it is not changing. The reason why is that we are not having a base. It doesn't know the width of these containers. It doesn't know the width, so it can't center it. So what we are going to do is that instead of we are going to wrap our column. We are going to wrap it with a container. So once we wrap it with a container, we can now give the container a height. So giving it a height of the screen, we can just give it a media query, query of height of context dot size dot height. Then I'll give it a width, maybe double dot infinity if you occupy the whole width. So let me start again. Let me just copy out this column. So what is going down here is that we have a app, a business card screen. This is a business card screen, the old screen. It has a ad bar, an ad bar. The ad bar has a background color of this, and it has a text widget called title, my business card. Then we try and center the text. Then now on the body is from here to here. So we have to give it a height, and we have to give it a width. So we now we use a container on the body. The container has the height of the size and also has the width of the size. So why I use double dot infinity is that it will just occupy the whole available space. You can do the same on the height. You can use double dot infinity. You try and occupy the whole available space. So if you want to know, you can just give your container color to see what is going on. Let me just give it red to see. Oh, sorry. The chart cannot be known. So you can see that this is a red space. The whole of this space after the up bar to the bottom is red. This is the container. Like we have a container that has a width of from here to here and also has a height from here to here. So now this container, we can now give this container a child widget, and the child widget will be a column. So the column widget will now have some children. Do you understand? The children are a container. We're going to give it each container because we want 4 containers. So we can just have 4 containers that have a height, let's say a height of 120 pixels and a width of 120 pixels. And let's give it a color so that we can see our container. Let's give it teal. Then if you look at it, this is your container. So now I can now give it a margin, give it a space. Let's insert. So I can give it a 15 pixel. So we have 15 pixel. So now I can copy this container in 4 places. Copy and paste the container in 4 places. So we have 4 containers. So now centered. If you go back to your design, from your design you can tap from here. You can see that we have 120 width and 120 height. So you go back we already have a container that has 120 width and 120 height, but it is a square. To now make it a kind of rounded shape, you can give it a border radius. So now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to do a decoration and give it a box decoration. So it's going to throw an error. The reason why is that if you are trying to decorate your container, you shouldn't have a color outside the decoration box. So I'll copy my color, then I'll paste it inside my box decoration. So now I can now give it a border radius, then border radius the circular. So half of the height and half of the width, which is 50. So you can see my square is now circled. So another thing I can do in this decoration is that if you look at the property, you can see that it has color, it has image, it has bordered, it has border radius, and so on and so forth. It has shadow, gradient. So we want to make this box, we want to give it an image. So before you use an image, you have to import your image to your file, your folder. So let me just come here and export my image. Let me just come and export my image. I'll just download it and call it profile. So place it. So if you check your folder under your desktop, you can see that you now have a profile image. So back to your code. You just have to create a folder called image. So you can see we've created a folder called image. Inside it, you now drag and drop your image that you just created. I can just drag and drop my image here. So I now have my image inside my image folder. So what I'm going to do is that anything you added here, you must let your Portpad or YAML file know about it. So you should come here to add image. You can see that they've already give you an instruction to add asset to your application, add an asset like this. So all you have to do is just to uncomment this line and uncomment this line. So once you uncomment it, remove the name and just leave it like this. Your folder is image, so just the name of your folder should be here, and just save it. Once you click save, that is all. So you can just go back to your code and use the image that you just added. So all we are going to do is that we are going to add inside this decoration, box decoration, we are going to add image. And the type of image you are using is if you place your mouse on it, it is expecting a decoration image. So you give it a decoration image. This is a decoration image. So decoration image is expecting an image also with image provider. So you have to give it a property, and you can use an asset image. So on your asset image, you can point to where your image is. Your image is under this folder, which is image folder. Then the name of the image is profile.png. Write a profile.png here. Profile.png. So just like that, you now have your image on your screen. Let me change the background color back to white. So the background color should change back to white. So you now have something like this. So we've achieved this. So the next thing is to give to do this box, these three box, and these three box has text and an icon. So let's go back to our Figma design and check for the width of the bus. From your design, you can see that your container width is 40 psi and 210 of width. So let's go back. This is a container, so it's 240, I think, 40 height to 40 width. So you can see that you now have 40 height to 40 width. So you can copy and paste in all other widgets, 40 and 240, 40 and 240. So you now have 40 and 240. So now, if you go back to your Figma also, you can see that it has a border radius on the shape. So if you look at it, the border radius we have there is I think it's 20 or so, or 12 that I put there. It has a border radius of 12. So let me just inspect. Yeah, I can't find it, but I think I gave it border radius of 12. So let's go back here. So we are going to design each of the stuff one after the other. We are going to give it a border radius to have this curve. Then we are going to give it a text and also an icon, each of them. So starting with the first one, let's tap into the decoration. So to design the container, you are going to give it a bus decorations. A bus decorations is going to flag an error because I told you that this bus decoration is also expecting a color. So you shouldn't give your color outside the bus decorations. So you can just copy your color from here. Yeah, the error has gone, and paste it back here. So we now have something like this. So we can now give it a border radius. Border radius or circular. And just pick circular, then give it 12 pixel. So okay, 12 is too small. You can give it 20. Yeah, 20. So 20 is great. So what I'm going to do is that let me remove this other containers and focus on one. Then after designing one, I can now copy and paste it in many places. So we have this. Let me change the color back to this color that we use here. I can just come and copy the back color and give it this instead of teal. Where is it? Instead of teal, I can just give it this color. So we now have this kind of color. So the next thing now is to give it a child. It should be expecting a child. But now, a child means a single widget. But what we have here is two widgets. We have an icon widget and we have a text widget. So what we are going to do is that in order to have two widgets that is horizontally aligned, we use something called row the other time. So we are going to use a row widget. This row widget is expecting a children. But if you use, let's assume that you want your name and your icon under each other, you can use a column. But if you want it horizontally aligned, you're going to use a row. So under your row, what we're going to do is that I'll give it, our role is expecting a icon and a text widget. So you can just call icon widget. Every widget is available on Flutter. Or if you need an icon, just call an icon. So the name of the icon is person. I think person. Icon.person. So if you look at it, you now have a person. So you can give your icon a color of white. And give it a color of white. Colors.white. So we now have color of white. And you can give it a padding. Or better still, later we are going to align it to the center. So the next thing is a text widget. So I'm going to have another widget called test, and I'm going to write my name there. Quadrant. So if you look at it here, you can now have your name. So you can style your you can style your test widget. So if I write style property, you the style properties is expecting a test style, so you can give it a test style. That is how to know. If you don't know what your property is expecting, you can just give it a test style. Your test style is expecting color, background color, font size, font weight, and so on and so forth. But what we are interested on is the font size. We want to increase the font size to 18, and we want to change the color to white, colors dot white. So I now have a text, an icon. So I can give a little more space between them. So I can give my text a padding. So once you just come here under your text, there's this bulb that is showing. Just click on the bulb, and you can see you can wrap it with another widget. So we want to wrap it with a padding. So if we add a little more padding to it, we've added a padding to our text. So now we want to center both the text and the icon. So we can just come to this row and give it the main axis alignment to be centered. Your main axis alignment to be centered. So boom, you now have them centered. As easy as that. So what we have to do now is that we have to copy this container and paste it 3 times. 2 times more. 1, 2. So now I have something similar. We now have 2. So I'm going to change the text to and I'm going to change the icons. So now I think this is the first one. This is the second one. The second one is expecting a role. So I can give the role to be Flutter developer. Flutter developer, then it has changed. Then I will change the icon also. Instead of a person icon, I'll change it to work icon. So now I have something like this. And also my third, which is phone number. I'll change my phone number to my phone number. Then I'll change my icon to dot phone. So boom, we now have this. But if you look at our design, this is what we have, but this is what we are having. So there's a way to arrange it to look similar to what we are expecting. So you can see that each row, each container has a row, and the row you can set under your row, you can set your main axis alignment. So we set it to centered. Instead of centered, we can just give it a space between. You can change it to space between. So we try and separate them in between, or we can either give it a space evenly. We give it a space evenly, so you have something like this. So, but instead of that, let me just copy and paste space evenly, space evenly, space evenly. Yeah. I don't think that's what we are still expecting. What we are expecting is just a test and something like this. Let's remove this. I will give it only to my left and give it a 15 pixel to the left. I have 15 pixel to the left. Then to the right, I'll give it a 12 pixel. So that's all I have to do. So with this, you can just come here and paste. I can add my padding and change the padding to this. then remove the row stuff. So now add this, then also my phone number. Let me delete this and give my icon padding. And let me replace it with the pattern we are using. So now, instead of giving our you can see that the text is more bigger than the container. So if you go back to your design, the font size used there is 14. So we can change the font size to 14. Our text font size, instead of 18, you can change it to 14. Then you can change our text font size to 14. Text font size to 14. So now the only thing that is left is to center everything. So now you come back to the starting point, which is the column, and give it a main axis alignment to center. We center our main axis alignment. Boom. We now have a column. So we have, this is the Android version of iOS version. So what we discussed earlier is that with a single code base, you can both have Android version and iOS version. So what I'm going to do is that I can easily run this app on iOS also, so that you can see how it looks like on iOS. So let me just close my Android emulator and run it on iOS version. Yeah, iOS. It will take 2 or 3 minutes. So while it is running, let me just go through what we just did. So now, this is what we have. We have our scaffold from the widget tree. The scaffold is where is it? Where is my presentation slide? Right. If you look here, we have a scaffold. The scaffold is your entry point, your app entry point. The scaffold will give you the ability to have a blank screen. So with the scaffold, we give it an app bar, and our app bar has a container. The container also has a column. The column now have 3 containers, but here we have role and text. So what we have is that we have an app bar. The app bar now has a container at the body. The containers have a column widget. The column widget have 3 containers inside it, and each of the containers has an icon and a text. So that is the app tree for this. So let us just wait for it to load on an iOS version and see how it looks like on iOS version. So without writing any code, again, you can easily deploy to either Android or iOS. So that's what we have. So now, if you don't know what to do, just place your mouse on it. Once you place your mouse on it, your mouse will tell you the properties that each of the widgets is expecting. So you can see the scaffold is expecting an app bar or a body or floating action button, and so on and so forth. So look at it on Android, on iOS, we have my business card, and we have achieved this design on both Android and iOS. So that is that for these sections. So I'm going to give you the source code to these applications. I'll give you the source code so we can go through it and study it. So if you have any questions, we can ask. So let me just recap. After creating your Android app will give you a folder. It will give you an Android folder, a build folder, your image folder, your iOS folder, your lib folder, and your test folder. Then you have a series of files. The important files there is just the postpet.yaml file. I said that the postpet.yaml file holds all our packages. So now, if you're installing new packages, you can just come and place it here on pug.yaml file. So if you want to install a package, you can go to pug.dev on your browser. You can easily go to pub.dev, then and search for any packages you are looking for, maybe image picker or anything. So if you, let's assume we want to add image picker to it. Once you search for image picker, you're going to have series of image picker libraries. So you use the one with highest popularity. You can see that the first one has a popularity of 86, while the second has a popularity of 99. So I'd rather go for the one that has popularity of 99 than 86. So once you come here, you can go through README and learn more about the package. So, and you can come to installing. So all they have to do to install this package just to add this dependency under your dependency version. So you just have to copy it like so and go back to your code. Under your code, your pux.yaml file. Under your dependency, this is your dependency. You can just come here and place it here like that. You've installed the package, but we don't need it. That's how to install. Let me delete it back. So now, after installing, you just click save. It will automatically run pub.get for you. So that is that about prospect.yaml file. So now, the other folder that is very important is the lib folder that we have. So our lib folder contains all other folders and the main entry point to our app. So the main entry point to our app is the main.dat file. So the main.dat file has a void main functions. This void main function is called whenever your app is about to start. So, and what is really necessary inside your your main function is run app method. So your run app method is kind of it will run your base screen of the app. So now what we do here is that we start by creating a class, a stateless widget class. So we call it a base app. So the base app is returning a material app. So the material app is a kind of entry point to all the widgets. So I told you that material app consists of all other widgets that we are about to use, like maybe the app bar, the scaffold, and so on and so forth. So the material app should be under it. So you have a material app. You can give it a title. You can give it a home, and so on and so forth. If you look at the emulator, you can see a kind of debug. So your app is running on debug versions. If you want to remove this stuff, the debug stuff, you can just come here and check the properties that has show debug banner. So under the show debug banner, you can just give it false. So, and this will disappear. You can see that it has disappeared. So if you give it back to be true, it will show that, okay, you're on debug mode. To give it back. So if you want to learn more about a widget property, just place your mouse on and it will show you the properties the widget has. So we have home, we have navigation, and so on and so forth. We are still going to talk about each of them in details later, but this is just a demo, and we are building our first app. We are launching our first app. So now going back to this screen, this first screen. So we have a scaffold. The scaffold will give us a kind of let me remove the body, and if I should just remove this, copy and delete it. Ordinary scaffold will give you a blank screen. So on your blank screen, we want to lay out your app bar on it. So we tap into our app bar and place it. So that's what we did. And also we want to give it a body. So let me copy back the code. So after on the blank screen, we place our app bar and we place our body on it. So on our app bar consists of a text widget that has the title to the app. Then we give it a background color of this. Then in our body, we have a container, these white containers that has 4 widgets. It has a child of column. The column now have a children. It has 4 children, 1, 2, 3, 4. So the column now has a main axis alignment to centers. It centered all its widgets. Now we have each children has a height and width, then it has the decorations. So the first widget, which is the containers, it has height of 120, width of 120. Then we have color, then we have a border radius, then we have an image. Then the other ones has a width of 40, with height of 40 and width of 240. Then it has a child of row. The child of this container is a row, and the role is expecting a children. So the role has two children, which is an icon and a test. So we have icon and test, icon and test, icon and test. So that about that. If you have any questions, please just signify and ask your questions. Hello, hello,
Yeah. Um.
hello.
Everyone is we are hearing you. We are hearing you. But I believe most of us
We can hear you.
don't have questions. So
Okay. Do you have any questions? Like, do you have any question?
It is somewhat straightforward, but we still need to practice it ourselves to ascertain that we really get what we're trying to explain. So, are you dropping the code below?
Like, we're still going to practice it one on one. Like, we are going to go along, like code along one on one later after setting up our Flutter SDK. So this is just a kind of a demo for us. So it's not really necessary for us to grab it once. So with a lot of practice, I believe that we're going to grab. So the main focus for today is just to set up our Flutter environment. So you can just have, I'm dropping a link on the group chat after these sections. I'll drop you a link to, and I'll share my slide. I'll drop you a link to my slide and to this app design also. So do you still have anything to maybe to ask or something? Hello?
yeah, yeah, we are hearing you. But I think there is no question else to be asked. So thank you very much, Abdulhamid, for joining this call and facilitating this session. So basically, this
Okay.
session is for the Flutter Study Group. So from this little insight that you've gotten from what Flutter is, and I hope some of us that are not part of the WhatsApp group for Flutter, that is the Flutter Study Group, will be obliged to join the Flutter Study Group. So you can easily check the chat box of this call and check out the link that was sent there for joining the study group. So we've opened registration again, and we hope that new guys join the study group for us to enable us interact better and share ideas with each other. So I would like to end this call on a note by saying a very big thank you to everyone, and I hope everyone has gotten some things and some insights as to what Flutter is.